Hey, I'm Sabrina from Creality.
And I'm Greg Adventure.
You're on 3D Rundown.
Hello, my 3D printer peeps. I am here with the most badass of all Creality small bed 3D printers, the CR-10 SE. Once it's built, I will make another video discussing what the CR-10 SE is and why you may want one. So go ahead and look out for that video. Those of you who already own one and are preparing to put yours together, let's go ahead and do that now. The first thing I'd like to point out is that this printer has traveled all the way from Hong Kong to New Jersey, USA, and it has survived fully intact. I'm super impressed, and I'm very proud of Creality for doing a very good job with the packaging. However, doing a very good job with the packaging doesn't guarantee the printer will survive and arrive in one piece. However, this one has, and Creality has taken additional steps to help it do so. You'll notice on both corners they have included reinforced cardboard that's been folded over the entire length of the corners. They did this on both the top and the bottom edge of the box, and while I can't say exactly how much that helped, I do notice this box has kept its general form and shape better than any of my previous Creality printers that I've received from various sources, Creality included. This box has remained perfectly square and shows no real damage or deformation, and I do think these reinforced corners are somewhat responsible for that. Now let's go ahead and take them off. You can see it's a nice firm corner of cardboard. With both corners removed, I'll cut down the center and cut down the sides. With all the tape and cardboard reinforcement removed, we can open up our box and get our first peek inside. How exciting! It's black foam. We like black foam because black foam protects our shiny new toy. Let's peel off the first layer and we'll unveil some stickers and a manual. A little spool of sample filament. I do expect this is Creality Hyper Filament. A baggie of parts and tools, including a USB thumb drive, the power cord, dual spool holders, how fancy, the filament runout sensor and the mount for the spool holder. Be very careful, in this slot is your SE light bar, LED light bar, a cable bracket, everybody's favorite, a brand new pair of snippers, and the star of the show, the Nebula pad. You will notice that you have eyes on the hot end. However, please do not try to pull it off. Go ahead and grab this center piece of foam and gently lift it up. You will see that the hot end is actually attached to the printer underneath that foam barrier. The printer is nestled very nicely in form-fitting foam. This is very characteristic of Creality, and you will notice the beautiful gold PEI bed included with the CR-10 SE. Reach down, one hand on each side of the printer, hook your fingers underneath, and slowly and gently lift upward. The upper portion of the printer will separate from the box, and unlike other machines, you will notice everything is already pre-installed. Place it aside. Remove this block of foam. 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 Reach inside. Hook your fingers under the printer. Reach inside. Hook your fingers under the printer. Being very careful not to catch the bed on the foam because it will pull it off the printer. And remove it from the box. Say the magic words, Cardboxo Removo, and your box should disappear. If it doesn't, just remove it manually using your hands. Those of you who are accustomed to older 3D printers might be surprised to learn Creality has gone to great lengths to make the building and installation process of their printers considerably more easy. Your CR-10 SE comes in only 2 main components, plus the screen, spool holder, and LED lights. This makes the setup process drastically easier than previous printers in the Ender or CR-10 lineup. With the printer on your table, let's go ahead and push out these remaining pieces of foam. One in the front, one more in the front, and 2 in the back. Be gentle, the ones in the rear might be a little tight. With the foam removed, let's make sure our bed moves properly. Let's make sure our belt doesn't feel too tight or too loose. If it feels super loose, just take this opportunity to turn this knob clockwise to snug it up just a little bit, but you'll work on that more in the future. Move the bed forward and take notice of these 2 wires. They are protected by tape. We are going to go ahead and free them of this tape. Be very careful not to actually tear the wires themselves when removing the tape. Here is your little wire here. And here is another little wire here. With those cables freed, let's go ahead and push the bed back. Now some of you may say, while I build my printer, I'm going to go ahead and remove the bed to protect it from being damaged, but please don't do that because this bed is replaceable and the magnetic hot plate is not. If we were to debate which one you'd rather damage, we'd rather damage the textured PEI bed. So please keep the bed on during the building process to protect the rest of the hot plate. Now is a good time to find your bag of parts and remove them. I will put my screws on one side and my tools on the other. I want you to take note of how few screws are included with the CR-10 SE compared to those of you who might be used to working with other Ender and CR-10 printers. We are now going to attach the top end of the printer. To do that, we are going to take this bag with the longer screws and open it up. These 4 screws will go underneath the printer, through these holes, and into the base of our top side. Let's do that now. Using something to raise your printer, simply slide the edge off the side of that raised platform or your workbench. Then take the top side of your printer, being careful not to grab the belts or the Z-rods, and line it up with the slots on the printer. Please do not grab it by holding these Z-rods on either side or by grabbing this belt at the top. Hold it strictly on the metal bars with the top end resting inside those 2 slots. We are going to put our 4 screws in to secure it. Again, I'm going to do this by positioning the printer so the side is hanging off my table. Holding onto the top end, I will take my first screw, push it up, and hand tighten it. I will take my second screw, push that one up into the hole, and hand tighten that as well. You should now feel that this is connected to the base via the bolts. Let's turn it around and do the other side. Again, we'll take our 2 screws and stick one up each hole. With all 4 screws in place, I just want you to feel this. Make sure it feels positioned and solid in place. And now we'll go ahead and snug up those 4 bolts. You can use fancy tools, but it came with the one you need. Simply find the one that fits and snug them up with that. When you're using this tool to snug up your bolts, go ahead and do it this way to get them snug. You can grab it here and tighten it. And once they're fully tight, if you have the room, turn it this way and place this end in the bolt so you can get more torque and just give it a little cinch on each of the bolts. If you don't have the opportunity to overhang the printer, it is okay to tilt the machine like this and gain access to the bolts that way. To snug them up, we will do it this way, grabbing the long end and just giving it a little cinch. Just snug and you're good. How amazing is that? With just 4 screws, our CR-10 SE already looks like a 3D printer. The next component on our CR-10 SE is the nebula pad. We'll go ahead and install it on these 3 holes right here. Your printer did include the screws and the tool for this job. Take your nebula pad, leave the screen on, face it forward, tilt it forward, and let's attach the data cable. The data cable is fairly short, which is typical for Creality. So be gentle. It is keyed. It only fits one way. Look for the notch. The notch goes up. Take that cable, pinch your fingers behind the plastic block, and simply line it up with the pins and press it into the screen. Once you feel that firm click into the screen, the ribbon cable is installed and it's time to mount the screen. Simply line it up with the 3 holes and install the 3 screws. It's super hard to show you the 3 holes and 3 screws underneath the pad. However, rocket science this is not. Simply line up all 3 and snug them up. I am routing this ribbon cable underneath the bracket. Due to the feet on the printer, there is clearance to run it underneath, and that's how I would suggest you do it. While we are here, do take note, your QR code, serial, and model information are here next to the power button. Do make sure the power button is on off. You may notice 2 USB ports on the side of the nebula pad. That is for the nebula camera and other potential accessories. It's worth noting the nebula pad is removable. Should your pad have come loose from its mount in shipping, simply line up the holes and the notches and clip the pad down. You'll hear it thump into place. Let's go to the back of the printer and get some more wiring done. Hiding inside the arm of the printer right here are 2 wires. Let's free them by removing the tape. Those of you accustomed to the S1 series will be familiar with Creality's new external connectors. This is a very welcome addition to Creality's printers, allowing us to attach accessories without having to open the printer and gain access to the motherboard. We will attach the one labeled LED to the port labeled Expansion Interface. It is notched and only fits one way. Please be gentle and work it into that center port. Take the unlabeled cable and plug it into the only port that fits, which is the filament detector port here in the back. You might have trouble with the cable being so short. Place it here like so, and if it's not quite straight, just take your finger and push on the outside of the bracket to tilt it into the slot. On the off chance revisions to this printer have caused these ports to change, please check the port to make sure you're plugging it into the right port rather than just matching my position here. However, I do expect my position here will match your printer. You will notice one final port labeled Z-axis motor, and you'll notice coincidentally the Z-axis motor is right next to it. During our unboxing, you removed this cable from the printer base. Go ahead and connect the Z-axis power connector to the Z-axis motor. Again, these are notched. Both of them only fit one way. Both sides are identical. There's the motor end. And there's the motherboard end. While we are here, let's roll to the back and spot this slot right here. Be sure to match the power with your power. In the US, I'm using 115. I will look in here and to make sure it shows 115. Using the flashlight from my cell phone, I can see that it actually says 230. We will need to peel this sticker off that port. Take a small Allen key, reach into that slot, and switch it over. Now you'll see it says 115. That's correct for me. Continuing with our cable setup, we will look towards the other stepper motor on the opposite side of where we connected earlier, and you'll see the other Z stepper motor already has the wire in place from the motherboard and just needs to be connected to the motor. Do this now. Now both your Z motors are connected. Let's move our eyes a little bit higher on the printer and we'll give ourselves a look at the back of the new Sprite extruder. We are going to need to connect some wires. Coming out the bottom of your printer, you will find said wires. You will also find this clip. Please take this clip, orientate it like this, and slide it right here over this small bracket. It'll clip gently into place. Take the wire that's coming out from underneath your printer and press the wire and this paper part into that clip matching the drawing. You will see two wires, one longer, one short. Take the longer one, plug it into the top of the Sprite extruder, and run the wire along this bracket. Simply use your fingers and give it a bend and press it into that slot. Those of you familiar with the original Sprite extruder will see that this is a major upgrade from the previous data cable. There is only one left. It's dangling right here. We are simply going to take that cable, bend it around, and plug it underneath this stepper motor. It's keyed and it only fits one way. There you have it. And now we are going to go ahead and move to the top of the printer. It is time to install the filament runout sensor. The filament runout sensor is kindly already installed, which is nice because it can be rather confusing due to the way it flops around. Unlike the Ender 3 version 3 series where the filament spool holder screws into this cross member, this one simply snaps into place. We will position the filament runout holder on the left side with the arrow pointing down and simply place the front of the holder over the front of the cross member and pull back as if shifting gears in a car. The spool holder is now firmly locked into place. We will now take the filament sensor, pick it up, grab this little wire here, and connect it into the filament sensor. Again, it only fits one way. Should you notice that it's really tight or you can't get it connected, simply grab this handle and wiggle it to the side. You'll notice the filament sensor has now happily dropped into place. With the filament holder in place, we will take the two spool holders, slip them in each side, and simply rotate clockwise on one, counterclockwise on the other, until they stop moving, and you're done. You now have two filament spool holders on your CR-10 SE. A lot of you may think this is kind of a worthless feature as this is not a multicolor printer, but those of you doing fun things like multicolor printing with manual swaps, having both your colors at the same time mounted on the printer, coupled with the easy swapping that the Sprite extruder offers, can lead to a much easier process than other printers that only have a single spool holder. There are a few other benefits that you may find with this dual spool holder as well. However, if it's something you think it's silly, the great thing is you don't have to use it, but I suggest you do. And now the final component, something I'm really happy is included with the CR-10 SE, and that is the very awesome LED light bar. This little light bar is a game changer. Those of you who have bed slingers without it should consider picking one up and adding it to your printer. The CR-10 SE comes with one in the box, and we're going to install it right now. The LED light bar upgrade for previous Enders required you to actually build the arms and route some cables, and it's somewhat annoying. However, no longer the case. The CR-10 SE comes with the cabling pre-routed and the light bar itself pre-assembled with the cables pre-routed. We are simply going to mount the light bar and attach the pre-existing wiring harness. To do that, take your light bar, tilt it this way, and press it into the sides of the CR-10. You'll see it nestles quite nicely into the ends of these cross members. I will show you again, and simply press it into place. Find the bag with these two small screws and install one on each end. One right here and one right here. While we're on this side, do take note, your power cable is right here. So go ahead and connect it. You will also notice there is an on-off switch independent of the printer for the light. However, the printer does have to be turned on for this switch to function. 1 is on, 0 is off. Spin the machine around, and we're done. And there it is, Creality's shiny new CR-10 SE. This jacked printer's got a gold PEI print bed, the all-new Sprite direct drive extruder with dual metal gears, the ceramic hot end, hardened steel nozzle, linear rails on both ends, the all-new Clipper Creality OS Nebula pad, LED light, input shaping and motion advance, dual Z-belt sync, and full online Creality Cloud Wi-Fi printing and webcam monitoring for one badass, highly capable, fast printing bed slinger right out of the box. You're on the 3D Rundown YouTube channel. I'm Greg Adventure, your instructor at 3drundown.com, and building the awesome CR-10 SE 3D printer was today's adventure.
Hey.